All right, back to item 1G1. We have several public hearing cards before us.
1G1, if I could read the
Yes.
item into the record. 1G1, ordinance relating to licensing and regulation of for-hire limousines, amending Chapter 31, Article 6 of the Code of Miami-Dade County, Florida, amending provisions regarding the transfer of luxury limousine sedan for-hire licenses, providing that there shall be no limitation on the number of luxury limousine sedan for-hire licenses, providing for severability, inclusion in the code, and an effective date. 1G1, this is a public hearing item.
All right. We have Evan Blanchett. Evan Blanchett. Time to speak from maybe I'm 10773 Northwest 70th Lane. All right. Next, Jerry Moskowitz. Jerry.
Good morning, Commissioners. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. I'm glad to see you all well and good. I'm against not the issuing of more licenses, but the thing that they're unlimited. Right now, we have so much competition in the taxi industry and in all the industries that do transportation. And to add an unlimited number would be ridiculous. First, we only have 16 inspectors for all the transportation industry that's out there. That's included all the new vans you put on that are now operating as taxi cabs, all Uber and Lyft, which I know you have nothing to do with anymore, but they still need to be enforced because they're working illegally. And to add an unlimited number, I don't think is necessary. First, with the competition that's out there, I don't even know why we're adding, but it's been a long time overdue to add more of these licenses. I would like to see a number like 1 or 200 instead of unlimited. At least it gives the people who have been waiting a long time for these licenses to get some. And you could do a lottery like you do on old past cabs and make some money for the county. Thank you for listening to me.
All right. Lathan Prestone or Prestone? Right.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Mi nombre es Layton Preston.
My name is Lathan Preston.
Bueno, yo vengo en representación del pueblo.
Well, I'm coming on behalf of the people.
Porque no pertenezco a ninguna entidad ni nada de eso. Simplemente estoy buscando ampliar horizonte de trabajo en la población.
Because I don't belong to any entity or anything. I'm just trying to expand horizons, working horizons for the population.
Entonces, debido a la falta de información también que está llegando al pueblo, no tenemos cómo orientarnos.
Due to the lack of information that the people the lack of information that the people have, we have no way of finding how to receive guidance.
¿Cómo funciona el problema de sacar los permisos y eso entonces?
On how to the issue on how to get permits at work.
Veo que es una oportunidad abriendo esos permisos de que haya más trabajo para las personas en la Florida, que es un problema serio, y también poder tener.
So I think that finding a way on how to get those permits, it's an opportunity to widen the amount of jobs for the population in Florida, which is an issue.
Fuente alterna de trabajo y así, no como hizo Uber, sino la gente humilde poder llegar a tener un pequeño permiso de transportación y eso para poder llevarle el sustento a su familia en la casa.
This is a way of finding a source of income, and not the way that Uber did it, but it's an opportunity for hardworking people trying to bring money and support for their families.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Gracias. Next, Susan Freed.
Thank you, Commissioner. Susan Freed, 2468 Bay Isle Court, Weston. It occurred to me when I looked at this item that this was a solution that had no problem. So it's aggravating to the limo and taxi industries that you would allow unfettered, uncontrolled access to our county. And I listened to Commissioner Sosa's remarks before in wanting to protect jobs and our public. I'm a little out of breath, so I'm going to say thank you. Happy holiday.
Okay. Next, Gustavo Chacon.
Good morning. Gustavo Chacon, 1051 Northwest 18th Avenue in Miami. I disagree with some of the speakers before me. Technically, Uber are not breaking the law, according to our county attorney. But they're encouraging people to break the law, and I have some serious problem with that integrity of an organization that enters into the market and openly encourage people to break the law. I have been trying to get a license here for 18 years, and I have not had the opportunity. I don't want to break the law. I never have broke the law. I've been set up by the regulators, but technically, they haven't enforced the law. The law has been manipulated at best, manipulated. Some people here go to court and nothing happens. We had it, you accepted an offer from Uber for $2.4 million for $4.6 million that they owed, plus you did not have anything to do with the airport or the port. They didn't pay the airport or the port for 2 years, and nothing happens, but they're illegal. Technically, we have problems, but we need to get our licenses. I beg of you, I've been coming here for a long time, and it seems like the more you dig, the more dirt we get. They don't know how to enforce this. There's no way they can enforce it. But we need licenses. We need our right to work, not to have to rent a permit from some of the speakers that come in behind me. And the code says you cannot rent the permits, but they've been rented, and they're going to continue to be rented. Thank you. And have a very happy Merry Christmas to all.
Thank you. Next, Jack Joseph Russell.
Jack Joseph Russell, 9850 Southwest 80th Drive, Kendall. I'm a medallion owner. I started buying my license 40 years ago, and the license has just gone down the toilet, with the industry being greatly screwed up. And with the Uber being legalized, they've taken 73% of the cab industry away. Only 27% of the business is left, is what I read in the business section some months ago, maybe even less. And with you, if you legalize these limousines to operate as taxis, especially an unlimited amount, it's really going to impact it more. So I really ask you not to put more these limos in there by putting more taxis in there, because it's just going to compound the problem anymore. And I'm hardly even getting anything from leasing my license out. It's just enough just to pay my property taxes for the year. So please don't allow these limousines to operate as taxis, because it'll just compound the problem even more, especially with Uber having already destroyed our sensitive taxi industry. Thank you.
All right. Next, Emilio Izquierdo.
Good morning. My name is Emilio Izquierdo Jr., 7212 Southwest 21st Street, Miami, Florida, 33155. I'm going to ask you unlimited permits for us, all the professional, independent limo drivers. And I want to ask you, why do you, the mayor and the commission, discriminate us? We were discriminated by what you call the limo industry, taxis and limos, you freeze the permit to create an industry. We are in the front of the consequence to running this government like a private business company, not like a government. You have to respect the citizens. You have to stop to have been discriminating us. We have been providing excellent transportation service to important people to visit Miami for over 20 years. We continue to pay our fee and our dues to this county. However, we are being treated differently than the TNC and the TNE, or whatever you call, that are currently operating in our street for thousands. All we ask is that we are treated the same and let us compete as then you giving the opportunity to them to work on professional with no license, with no codes, with no control. We ask you, the limo drivers independent, to have an unlimited license under the same concessions and guidelines that you gave to the TNE or TNC. We are currently being discriminated against, and all we ask is for us to be treated as professional, independent limo drivers. Let us compete. This is USA. Respect the Constitution, respect this great country, and respect us.
Right.
Have a
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Same to you. Mitch Bierman.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Mitch Bierman with the offices of Weiss Serota Helfman at 2525 Ponce de Leon Boulevard. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. I come today to speak in opposition to this proposed legislation. I believe that I emailed all of you yesterday and laid out some of the points, but the main thing to understand here is that luxury limousines is an industry, and it's a small industry, but a necessary industry to our tourist economy, because we have not only VIP corporate visitors who rely on this, but also special occasion visitors and local special occasion users who use these reserved limousine services for funerals, weddings, quinceañeras, any kind of special occasion, to get to a ball, to get to the Super Bowl. And if we destabilize the market by making the permits unlimited, we run the risk of completely downgrading the luxury service that is provided by these. Now, for the gentleman that just spoke, he could potentially buy a luxury car and drive a luxury car for Uber. That's not the service we provide, and that's the really important distinction. Companies like the company I represent, MTG, own these. They have a national footprint. They are in New York, they're in Boston, they're in Baltimore, they're in Washington, they're in Miami, and throughout Florida. And they have national corporate clients, they have local funeral home clients, they have wedding planner clients, and they also have individuals that know about them and call them and reserve their pickup from the airport or reserve their ride for the Super Bowl. The Uber user doesn't do that. The Uber user hires a car on the spot. So if that person hires a limousine, an Uber luxury or whatever it's called, that's not a threat to the industry. The threat to the industry is having 1,000 of these permits out there with bottom feeders coming into the market, destroying the reputation of luxury services in Miami-Dade County and eliminating the livelihood of thousands or hundreds of local drivers who are making good money from driving for the companies that I represent right now. Thank you very much for hopefully opposing this legislation and maybe taking a look at opening up a limited number of permits, but not an unlimited number. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Christopher Davis?
Good morning. Happy holidays to everyone. I'm beginning to get familiar with everybody around here. It's getting a little scary. Hopefully I won't be coming around here as much. Not that I don't like everybody here, but man, this has been crazy. Christopher Davis, 475 Brickell. I'm an owner-operator of Professional Chauffeur Transportation Services. The last gentleman that spoke, I don't understand that. And I don't understand the taxis. First off, you have billion-dollar companies coming in here, Uber, Lyft, to say the least, and have monopolized the whole industry, destroyed pretty much. They came in to destroy the taxi industry and the sedan industry. That's really the bottom line here. So I don't understand what the taxis are worried about with the sedans. With the luxury sedans open up, don't even call it luxury sedans, just call it sedans, because Uber has Mercedes-Benz 550s out here. So I don't quite understand that. So for anyone to just go and say, well, you know, we shouldn't open up the market or this or that, it's crazy. All you're going to do is just do Uber and Lyft more of a favor. You have the ball and chain on not by not opening the market up. You're just creating a big, even more of a problem. I think the idea is to, as it is in the legislation by Gerald Sanchez and Bruce here and whoever else is involved, is to open up to have a fair market so everyone has a shot. Gentlemen here, I mean, they've been talking about trying to open market up. They believe they haven't been treated fairly. Do I believe they haven't been treated fairly? Yeah, I do. My license it's not a question of, I had to go through a bunch of hoops to try to get my license. I had to buy a stretch limousine. I got in the market. Then I had applied for the lottery. I did the things I needed to do. The rules have been broken tremendously by Uber and Lyft. They brought their market up. They made billions more having it happen. So I don't need to beg anyone to do it, but I think the right thing to do is to open the market up. That's the right thing to do. Thank you very much. Have a happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, and whatever other holidays.
Same to you.
And Happy New Year. Thank you very much.
Rudy Gonzalez?
I don't understand you guys. I really don't. I don't understand you guys.
That's 8. No comment.
Morning, Commissioners. Rudy Gonzalez, 3620 Northwest 22nd Avenue, Miami. Happy holidays to everyone. I oppose what you are bringing up to as far as issuing unlimited amount of permits. It's funny what I hear the gentleman's been doing or driving for limo, and he can't get himself a limo. Well, I've been in the business since 1975. Nobody has given me anything for free. Permits were sold at an auction here, taxi cab permits, $400 and some odd thousand. Some people paid. How do you expect people to get their money back? He wants a free permit. There've been taxi cab permits that have been sold through a lottery. You had to pay $15,000 or $25,000, whatever it may be. Guess what? Some of those drivers turned around and sold the permits. So now they're coming back for more free food. I mean, if he wants a permit, tell him to buy the goddamn thing. Nothing here is for free.
Just be nice.
Hold your language.
Sorry if
Hold your language.
But I get excited because this is a joke. It's chaotic out there. By opening up the market, you're letting Palm Beach, Broward, and who knows is going to come here to the airport and pick up our passengers. Just like I think Mr. Sosa was saying, we got to protect what we have here. and I think if it's only fair, put like a lottery, 100 permits, charge for those permits. I mean, Dade County's losing money. We already lost all our business through Lyft and Uber, which was a joke also. I lost I'm not going to say my rear end, getting sued by Progressive Credit Union, Melrose Credit Union, and this is a joke. I'm totally against it. If you want to issue permits, issue 100 permits, make it a lottery, and charge for the permit. That's the way I feel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Neil Goodman.
Good morning, Commissioners. Happy holidays and my condolences to your loss. I had a thought before I heard previous conversations about G3, 4, 5, and 6. I was going to tell you about how this would have been packed with a lot more limo operators, limo owners. A lot of them have gone out of business because of the T&Es. A lot of them have downsized tremendously, like myself. I have about 1/3 of the vehicles that I had, but I'm not here to talk about that. I am here to talk about what the future is. I was about to tell you about Uber, that I think you may be here a year from now, talking about their license and rescinding their license. In London, it has already been rescinded. They are not legal in London. New York, Israel is maybe a year away before their licenses will be gone. But again, I'm talking about what I heard about protecting the drivers and the owners in Dade County. This is the most important thing, because you're not only opening this up to the rest of Florida and the counties of Florida, even the Tri-County area, but you're going farther than that. I know people in New York that are chomping at the bit to bring 300 cars down here with their drivers. They have GPS in the cars. They don't need to be residents. They don't need to know the areas. They have GPS. 6 months a year, right now, they'll have 300 cars parked all over Collins Avenue, waiting for calls. If you let this open up and give them anything they want. We have avenues now for growth. We have Art Basel that just passed. You could have gotten, I believe, an unlimited amount of temporary permits for special events. Ivan is here, Pedro is here. I think that's a correct statement. Temporary permits for Art Basel. As many permits as you would have needed for any special event. There's a Super Bowl coming up in a couple of years. You can get permits for that. Or there's avenues for, like the other gentleman said, a lottery system, but limited. Protect the drivers that are left. Protect the companies that are left in Dade County now. Because you will have drivers coming in from all parts of the country, maybe all parts of the world. There's a multi-billion-dollar company in London called Addison Lee. They are chomping at the bit to come over here for 6 months a year, just when we're busy. And then they leave, and then we're left with the summer months. So please consider not opening this up. Thank you.
All right. Next card, Terry Eisenberg.
Good morning, Commissioners, and happy holidays. I am against this ordinance amendment in its present form, and I ask you to consider the following points and not forward this ordinance as written for a second reading before the Board of County Commissioners as a whole. Number one, there is no demonstrated need or necessity to have unlimited luxury limousines in Miami-Dade County. Since the influx of transportation network entity vehicles, otherwise known as Uber, UberX, Lyft, as well as others, the competition for a steady supply of customers has been fierce in Miami-Dade County. The supply of customers, as the Miami-Dade limousine companies will tell you, as you just heard, that they are fighting to make a living and do not wish to have any additional licenses issued. Furthermore, when there is a special event that could possibly task the current supply of luxury vehicles, there's a mechanism in place to issue temporary licenses to meet the demand for these events, as you just heard. Number two, the number of for-hire vehicles in Miami-Dade County has reached a critical saturation point, especially in high lucrative areas such as Miami International Airport. In fact, just last month, Channel 7 did an expose on the problem many residents and businesses are having with T&E, taxi, and limousines parking on and around the streets bordering Miami because the lots to accommodate these vehicles are full and at capacity. You were already talking about a parking problem earlier today. Also, passing the ordinance will give competing limousine companies in Broward and Palm Beach counties a clear economic advantage over Dade companies in that they will be able to market round-trip service from their counties to MIA, and since there is no reciprocity, the businesses licensed in Dade County will not be able to do the same. In short, you'll be giving their present jobs away. Additionally, all the 400-plus limousines that are now in Broward County will be working in Dade County and further complicates the saturation dilemma. Finally, in recognition of the plight of a few of the current Miami-Dade licensed limousine drivers who you've heard from today, who wish to go into business for themselves but can't afford to do so, the Limousine Advisory Group and the Taxi Cab Advisory Group both voted and approved unanimously approved a recommendation to be forwarded by the staff to you that addresses this situation. In short, this recommendation was to have a one-time lottery to issue no more than 10% or 60 permits to Miami-Dade limousine chauffeurs who have been licensed as such for a minimum of 5 consecutive years. In conclusion, Commissioners, it's time to take our streets back. Please do not further damage to our fragile limousine and taxicab industries. Please do not forward this legislation in its current form. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I have no further speaking cards in front of me. Does anybody else wish to speak on this item before us?
Les Eisenberg, 3600 Northwest 37th Court, Miami. As said, I'll say it again, if we were to do this, then all of the Broward County licenses will be in Dade County, but we will not be able to go to Broward County. End of story. As said, if you saw the news, we've got cabs and luxury sedans and TNC vehicles all over the perimeter areas of the airport. This will further exacerbate the problem. It'll be awful. It's like throwing kerosene on a fire. It doesn't make sense to do this at this particular time. Thank you and have a good day.
Any further speakers?
Good morning, Nikhil Williams, 10 Northeast 193rd Terrace, Miami. Just to piggyback off of Mr. Goodman, I am opposing this regulation due to the fact that at this moment, as everyone has said, in Miami-Dade County, the permits and the T&Es, the TNCs, it's definitely oversaturated. We've been fighting just to have our chauffeurs licensed, abiding by the rules, and they have to compete with those who have diminished the value of the luxury sedan transportation. So opening up this without any regards to what may happen, I do not think is a good idea at all. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Come up. Please state your name and
Diga su
address.
nombre.
Mi nombre es Alexander León.
My name is Alexander Leon.
Mi dirección es 11447 Southwest 32 Lane, Miami, Florida 33165.
And my address is 11447 Southwest 33rd Lane, Miami, Florida 33165.
Ok, mi intervención en esta reunión básicamente es para apoyar la enmienda que se le está haciendo al artículo de la ley del Condado de la Florida.
But my participation in this meeting is basically to support the amendment that is being made to this regulation in the state of Florida.
Sí, Antes que nada, expresar mi acuerdo con todas las intervenciones anteriores.
First of all, I would like to express my agreement with all the previous statements from other participants.
Entendiendo cada uno de los puntos tratados por los compañeros anteriores.
And I understand each and every point discussed by previous participants.
No sin antes hacer una aclaración en cuanto a aspectos que son contradictorios en sus exposiciones.
And I would like to clarify about some points that are contradictory in their opinion.
Tenemos que tener en cuenta que el mundo que estamos viviendo hoy está en constante desarrollo.
We have to keep in mind that the world that we are living today is constantly changing and developing.
Y la transportación no es una de las variables que se escapa de esto.
And transportation does not escape from this fact.
Cada uno de ellos ha tratado el tema de las nuevas compañías que han introducido el servicio de transportación en el condado de Miami.
Each of them have discussed about all the companies that have introduced the transportation companies in the city of Miami.
Sin tener presente que cada una de ellas lo que ha aportado a nuestro condado es el desarrollo de la actividad y el desarrollo en el servicio de la transportación.
Without keeping in mind that each of them, what they have done is in introducing the development of the activity and the development of transportation in the city of Miami.
Por lo que se hace necesario la aprobación de esta ordenanza para así abrir el marco de que personas puedan establecer esta actividad y seguir incrementando el desarrollo de la transportación en el condado de Miami-Dade.
Thus, it is the approval of this ordinance is a must in a way to continue improving the transportation market and for people to have more opportunities.
Y de esta forma permitir que todos podamos realizar la actividad de forma legal y sin infringir los parámetros legales de nuestro condado.
And this way, all of us will have the opportunity to conduct our services in a legal way without violating the norms.
Muchas gracias y felices fiestas para todos.
Thank you and happy holidays to all.
All right. Gracias. All right. Any further speakers? All right. Public hearing is closed. Commissioner Moss?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Followed by
To staff, what is the status, or to the attorneys, whoever may be able to answer this, what's the status of limos in Broward and Palm Beach County? I mean, do they have a open-ended market at this particular point in time?
Good morning. Selena Williams, Department of Transportation and Public Works. Currently, Commissioner, Palm Beach County has an open entry system for luxury sedans. Broward County uses a formula for issuance of licenses, and it is not open. They conduct a lottery when 10 or more licenses are revoked, and they have approximately 381 luxury licenses issued.
Okay, so they have a formula, meaning that they maintain a certain number of luxury?
One luxury license per 4,500 inhabitants. Right. I imagine that means residents of the county.
Okay, and they stick to
that formula, and they conduct a lottery when 10 or more are revoked.
Okay, do we revoke many luxury licenses here in Miami-Dade County?
We do some. I don't know how many.
We had one last year. 10 licenses were revoked and a lottery was held.
Okay, 10 were revoked last year.
Correct.
And so a lottery was held at that time.
Correct.
So what happens in the lottery for these 10 licenses that are now available? What do we do?
Basically, the license go into revocation, and we allow a certain amount of current license holders and non-license holders to apply for the lottery, and we basically do a lottery issuing the licenses split to each industry.
If we were to take the number of licenses that we have now, 600 or so.
626.
626. what is that a per resident? I mean, and I'm trying to compare it to Broward is 1.1 per 4,500. What is that for Miami-Dade?
I wouldn't be able to answer that.
We'd have to
We would have to
research
look
that
into that.
and get back to you with an answer.
Okay, all right. I'd like to understand what that is. The LAG committee. There was testimony here saying that the LAG committee supported doing a 10%, one-time issuance of 60 limo licenses for 5-year limo drivers, or above. Was that the final recommendation of the LAG committee?
Yes, Commissioner. They met in May and opposed the idea of the legislation altogether. And then on October 11th, the LAG met and they passed a series of motions. On the third motion, they recommended what the chair indicated, that no more than 10% of the current licenses be issued via lottery to drivers that have held a license for 5 continuous years. That was their recommendation.
So, and going back to the whole issue of our neighbor Broward County, if we were to pass this, then those operators could get licenses to come into Miami-Dade County, but our operators could not go to Broward County. Is that correct?
I believe that is correct, Commissioner. The county does, in the current legislation, there's a tri-county provision in the current code for limousine licenses that if transportation is arranged with the Broward County company, they could pick someone up and then take them back to that county. Miami-Dade, Broward County, and Palm Beach share that language in our code.
What do we know right now about the luxury T&Es and, what their impact is? Are there a lot of luxury T&Es based upon the amount of licenses, that Uber and Lyft and...
I don't know the answer to that, Commissioner, but we can certainly make some inquiries and find out.
No anecdotal data or anything to understand what's going on in that industry?
I'm sorry. The answer to that question.
And you are?
I'm Pedro Orelli with PTRD.
Okay.
Even when we were regulating Uber and Lyft, they never disclosed to us a total number of vehicles, and it was more of a range. And within that range, we didn't know which ones were luxury and which ones were regular. So we wouldn't be able to answer that.
All right, that's all I have right now, Mr. Chairman.
So when we did the lottery for those 10 that were rejected, we only kept it within people that have been driving for 5 years.
No, sir.
Anybody could apply.
License holders could apply for a certain number of them, and then people who were seeking to get a license were able to apply for a subset of those available licenses. There was no 5-year restriction on it.
Oh, so it's...
Yeah, each applicant was able to apply up to 10 entries for the lottery, both licensed and unlicensed.
And when you did the lottery, did you lottery all 10 at once, the top 10 vote getters, or was it per car or per?
It was per license. Yeah, each license was put in the lottery. I can't give you the exact number of how many went to unlicensed or licensed. I don't recall right now, but yes, a certain amount went to the unlicensed and a certain amount went to the licensed. But it was a total of 10.
All right. And I crunched the numbers here quickly, and it ended up, if you put it into the 620...
626. That number did not change.
Into 2.5, it came out to 4,000 something per
inhabitant.
Per inhabitant.
Okay.
So, my non-scientific. Yes, now Commissioner Hayman.
Thank you. And one, I'd like to thank everybody. Seems to be an ongoing issue of fairness when it comes to for vehicle hires, regardless of what the vehicle is or what the relationship is to a person with the vehicle or the service. But this is just about luxury limousines, not about taxi cabs. And within it, we have to be mindful we already have existing ordinance that sets a standard, sets a criteria for the luxury limousines, because we listen to it with TAG and other groups to say we don't want people who are not busy to come into and offer their vehicle, which would obviously be nicer. And this is for hire vehicles of Uber and Lyft, just to the industry we controlled. And so what we did was set the standard for what luxury limousines were. Credit cards only, prearranged only, not hail them from the street, or now with the new one, app them and just solicit or have solicitous vehicles stacked up. So we worked on that. So one thing for people talk proliferation and Uber and everything else, this is not that ordinance. It may be a slippery slope, but that's why we're here to look at the parameters, and you saw some of the questions, such as reciprocity. If we allow outsiders to come in from other counties, can we send our permitted, licensed, operating people and their companies and their drivers to other counties and things like that? So that's the first thing. The second thing is there legitimately a need? And what we did previously as a commission body was allow for special events to have a unique situation where it was extreme demand for high-end vehicles, such as Art Basel, such as a Super Bowl, and other things that were to a certain market to come in. And they fell under the luxury limousine criteria. I think it started with a minimum hire at $75, and credit card, and prearranged, and working through a licensed company. So, you know, a lot of the concerns with value of medallion and everything else and drivers, you know, is not quite this issue. I think what falls into that category, in all respect to people here, and Ms. Hudak, once again, we have issues at the airport with people with permits. I'm hearing complaints. I just met with industry people about this item, but it wasn't really on stacking again and things like that. And it's an enforcement. We put in safeguards for the integrity of our operation and accountability. So if we have constituents or customers that are not happy, we have something to enforce it or go after people. And it seems to be an enforcement problem if it's under your domain, RER, to get them to enforce the laws in place. We have some good ones already out there. To the issue of supporting this item for unlimited luxury limousines, if you're complaining about the proliferation of what's on everyday vehicles and competition, I can't see adding to that the complaint of let's do it to an additional industry for hire. I'm not going to support this because it's a problem that doesn't need a solution. And what I wish really was that we would have addressed this while Commissioner Sosa, because I actually put on the record looking more to her issue that's omnipresent, that says we need to take care of the people vested and invested here in the county first. And I can't see attracting and allowing outside people to come in an unlimited capacity, because they're going to come in from another airport, another county, another hotel and venue across the border, when they restrict our taxpayers and our licensed businesses. I don't believe, and I haven't heard from Art Basel the complaints yet, the Hotel Association, or anybody else, that we are at a lack of luxury limousines. And to that, I'll remind everybody, this commission, at least this commissioner, supported it the last time on special occasions. We have an exception in place that's easy without bureaucracy to address it when there is a special need. And the rest of the time, you shouldn't have everyday competition to add to the woes of a business that may eventually be in peril from outside competition. So I'll be voting no. And I hope my other colleagues would support the Sosa philosophy and also understand this is only luxury limousines, and it is not an issue that needs to be broadened with additional competition that we don't control. Thank you.
On the item, several things have been raised. One of them, the special events and the exercising of special permits for. How many times a year do we exercise that?
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Ivan Gotayo with Miami-Dade County Department of Transportation. Actually, for the past few years, our BASO, through the mayor's office, have requested for temporary license to be issued. And this past our BASO, we issued a little bit over 150 temporary permits, which is a week before the event and includes a week after the event for the airports and the hotels.
Just during Art Basel, is there any other events during the year that we're?
In 2010, I believe that we issued the Super Bowl. When we had the Super Bowl here, we also issued those permits as well. Right, usually we see this type of permits being issued during Super Bowl and the Art Basel.
Right. On the issue of, and we have a language, you say in all three counties that you cannot come in, you can come in if the ride is requested from that county, you could go into another county and pick them up at the airport or so forth. That's the way it works, right?
Yes, Commissioner. Pursuant to Article 31602B, the Ottawa County origin exception means that a Miami-Dade County operator can pick up a fare in Miami-Dade, take him to Broward County, and then he can pick up that person in Broward County and bring it back here. That goes for Palm Beach and Broward County.
And vice versa.
Meaning that Broward County, if there was a trip that originated from Broward and that operator, it is licensed in Broward County, he can come to Miami Beach or to any hotel drop off. When this person is ready to go back to the Fort Lauderdale airport or back to, they can come and do what's called a round trip. And that is on the code section 31602.
All right. Mr. Chacon, I know you wanted to speak. I'm going to recognize you for a brief moment. You want to speak? You want to say something on the record? Clarify something?
Thank you. Gustavo Chacon, 1051 Northwest 18th Avenue. I hear your concerns. You could pick up and drop at any county and come back and as a round trip anywhere. Also, the concern about the out-of-towners, out of the 626, I think it's 258 are companies that are based out of county, most of them in Broward and Palm Beach counties, out of our own licenses right now, including Cabri Limousine, they got 55.
There's something specific that you wanted to mention. I know you raised, now you're going to a whole statement, but anything specifically that I just want to...
Out of every time that you have a lottery, sir, 10 permits, 7 will go to the company, and 3 only will go to the individual. So the individual will never catch up to it. Right. Out of the 8 permits that you spoke about that they were revoked, in reality there were 14 permits revoked, but they will deal the other 6.
All right. Thank you. If you want to put something on the record, I knew it was going to happen when I opened it up, but go ahead.
Very, very quickly. I'm sorry, Commissioner. The subject of just 2 events were brought up, just Art Basel and Super Bowl. There have been other events. We had an enormous World Wrestling event a few years ago. I applied for temporary permits for that. I got them for that. So as events come up, if the organizer of the event request temporary permits. All they have to do is write a letter to the mayor's office or to the county. So it's not just limited to just 2 events. And as far as, and there are going to be other big events. MTV, when MTV Awards was here, there were special events for that issued also, as many as you wanted. But there are ways to increase the permits that are now, whether through lottery or anything. You can issue 150 permits tomorrow through a lottery, as long as it's within our county, our drivers, our people. Thank you.
Yes, Terry.
Just 2 quick points, Commissioners. One, to Commissioner Moss's question about the T&Es and their luxury vehicles, and they couldn't answer a number of how many vehicles, but I'll tell you this, that if you monitor the Uber driver forums, the Uber Black, those are the T&E, the big luxury vehicles, they are complaining that they do not make enough money, and the Uber Black platform that they have to go to the Uber X. That's how tight the competition is and how many of those vehicles are just sitting around. And secondly, to the point about the lag and their recommendation, and to Mr. Chacon's point, this, what we recommended having the lottery was to drivers only, no companies, no anything, to take care of these gentlemen. And I think there's only 3 or 4 that have spoken in this room. 60 would clearly take care of all of them that have that concern. Thank you.
All right. Just for my record statement, I've been usually, against opening up. I'm starting to fall on the side of, just opening it up. I recognize there's some unfairness here in reference to the Broward and other jurisdictions. Because obviously we don't want to permit our county to be gobbled up by other areas. I don't think that's the purpose. I think we want to give opportunities to everyone here, but not opportunities to people that aren't letting our people have opportunities. So those things tend to tell me that this item is not yet in the proper format or the proper to support it. But I am starting to warm up to the issue of creating more competition because, but anyway, we are here. There's an item 1G1. Is there a motion on the item? I hear no motion. So for lack of a motion, the item dies or is tabled. With that, that concludes this item.